In Ajanaku village, there was only one thing more dangerous than hunger: gossip. And the biggest gossip in the village was not even a human being. It was a goat, not an ordinary goat, a stubborn black and white goat called Minister. Everywhere Minister entered, confusion followed. If two people were fighting, the goat was there. If food disappeared, the goat was there. If a secret leaked, somehow the goat was nearby, chewing leaves like an innocent elder. One hot afternoon, the entire village gathered at the market square. Because the king's royal crown had disappeared, the palace guards searched everywhere. Women shouted, children climbed trees, old men argued loudly. Then suddenly, Minister, the goat, walked proudly into the market. With the royal crown hanging around his neck, the entire village froze. A woman fainted immediately. One old man shouted, this goat wants to overthrow the king. And that was the beginning of the greatest madness Ajanaku village had ever seen. Ajanaku village was never quiet. Before sunrise, women were already pounding yam. Roosters screamed like politicians. Children ran around barefoot. And old men sat under the giant iroko tree, discussing problems they could not solve. At the center of the village lived Baba Tund, a skinny old man with long white beards and a voice louder than thunder. Baba Tund owned a famous goat called Minister. Nobody knew why he named the goat Minister. But according to Baba Tund, this goat behaves exactly like leaders, eats everything, fears nobody. The villagers agree. Minister was clever, too clever. He opened doors with his horns. He stole food from cooking pots. He once entered a wedding ceremony and ate the bride's gel. The groom nearly cancelled the marriage. Every morning, Baba Tund tied Minister with a rope. Every afternoon, Minister escaped. Nobody understood how. One day, Mama Saad screamed from her kitchen, thief! Thief! Everybody ran. They found Minister standing beside a pot of soup. The goat's mouth was covered with egusi. Mama Saad cried dramatically. This goat has eaten the meat I borrowed money to buy. Minister looked at everybody calmly. Then he burped. The crowd exploded with laughter. One young man said, at this point, this goat deserves prison. Another replied, prison? This goat will become prison president. Even the angry Mama Saad laughed. But Baba Tund warned everybody. One day this goat will bring either great blessing or a terrible disaster. Nobody took him seriously. That was their mistake. One dusty evening, a stranger arrived in Ajanaku village. Tall, dark, wearing expensive clothes. He introduced himself as Chief Odogu. He claimed he was a wealthy businessman searching for land. Immediately, the villagers changed behavior. Suddenly everybody became nice. The same men who refused to greet each other now smiled like saints. Mama Bows cooked extra food. Young girls adjusted their wrappers. Old men started giving unnecessary advice. Even the king welcomed Chief Odogu warmly. But Minister the goat hated him immediately. The first day, Odogu entered the village square. Minister charged at him and merely removed his expensive robe. Everybody laughed. But Odogu looked uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. That night, Baba Tund sat outside his hut watching the moon. Minister lay beside him, unusually quiet. Then Baba Tund whispered, you smell something bad, don't you? Minister made a strange sound. Baba Tund narrowed his eyes. In African villages, old people believed animals sometimes saw what humans could not. A minister had never behaved strangely without reason. 3 days later, disaster struck. The village contribution money disappeared. It was money saved for repairing the community well. Everybody panicked. Without the well, women would walk long distances for water. The king became furious. Whoever stole this money is an enemy of the village. People immediately began suspecting each other. Friends fought. Families argued. Neighbors stopped greeting one another. Then somebody shouted, I saw Minister near the meeting hut yesterday. The crowd turned. Minister was chewing paper peacefully. Mama Saad gasped. What if the goat swallowed the money? The villagers became serious. One hunter even suggested, we should open the goat and check. Baba Tund nearly fainted over my dead body. But the king ordered investigation. For 2 whole days, the village searched everywhere. No money. Meanwhile, Chief Odogu acted very concerned. Too concerned, he even donated small money to gain people's trust. The villagers praised him. Only Minister kept following Odogu everywhere. The goat would stare at him strangely. One afternoon, Odogu entered the forest secretly. Minister followed him. Unknown to everyone, Baba Tund followed the goat. The forest behind Ajanaku village was feared. People said spirits walked there at night. Even brave hunters avoided certain paths. Baba Tund hid behind bushes quietly. Minister crept ahead. Then suddenly, Chief Odogu stopped beside a giant tree. He looked around carefully. Then he dug something from the ground. A bag? The missing money. Baba turned, nearly shouted. But before he could move, Minister jumped from the bushes. Mai! The goat attacked Odogu violently. Money scattered everywhere. Odogu slipped and fell into muddy water. Baba turned burst out laughing, accidentally. Odogu turned. Their eyes met. Silence. Then, Odogu ran. Minister chased him like village police. The chase became madness. Odogu crashed into trees. Minister bit his wrapper. Birds flew everywhere. Finally, Odogu escaped. But the money remained. Baba turned looked at Minister in shock. You call a thief? Minister simply chewed leaves proudly. That evening, the entire village gathered. Baba Tand explained everything. The villagers were stunned. The king ordered Odogu arrested immediately, but he had disappeared. Gone. Nobody ever saw him again. The village erupted with celebration. Women danced. Drummers played music. Children sang songs. And Minister became a hero. They even tied a red cloth around his neck. One old man shouted, "This goat deserves a title." Another replied, "At least, this goat works harder than some leaders." Everybody laughed loudly, but the madness was only beginning. After exposing the thief, Minister changed completely. The goat began walking around the village like royalty. If people sat on his favorite spot, he chased them away. If children blocked his path, he pushed them. If food was cooking, he inspected it like a health officer. Worst of all, the villagers encouraged him. They fed him special food. They praised him constantly. They even greeted him respectfully. One morning, Mama Bose bowed jokingly. "Good morning, Chief Minister." Everybody laughed, but Minister stood proudly like he understood. Baba Tund became worried. Too much praise destroys both humans and goats. Nobody listened. Then one afternoon, the king announced a village festival. During the festival, titles would be given to honorable people. Suddenly one drunk villager shouted, "Give Minister a title too." The crowd exploded with laughter and cheers. The king laughed so hard, he almost fell from his chair. Then jokingly he said, "Very well, from today, this goat shall be called Honorary Chief of Security." The crowd roared. Drums played. Someone placed tiny beads around Minister's neck. From that moment, the goat became impossible. He entered houses without permission. He interrupted meetings. He slept inside the market. Nobody could punish him anymore. Respect the chief. Villagers would joke, but slowly, the joke started becoming a problem. Now in Ajanaku village lived a young man called Kunle. Kunle was hard-working but extremely unlucky. Every business he started failed. He once sold roasted corn during a heavy rain. Another time he tried fishing without knowing how to swim. But Kunle had one dream, to marry Adunni. Adunni was beautiful, intelligent, and sharp-tongued. She sold tomatoes in the market. Many men wanted her. But Adunni respected only hard-working people. Kunle tried impressing her daily. One day he bought perfume. Unfortunately, the perfume smelled like mosquito spray. Adunni nearly cried laughing. Another day, he attempted singing for her. Even chickens ran away. Still, Kunle never gave up. Then disaster happened. Minister, the goat, fell in love too. Yes, with Adunni. Every day Minister followed her around. If another man approached Adunni, Minister attacked him. The entire market became entertainment. One trader shouted, "This goat is more serious than human boyfriends." Kunle suffered most. Each time he tried speaking romantically, Minister interrupted. One day Kunle finally gathered courage. "Adunni, I love you." Wham! Minister hit him from behind. Kunle landed inside baskets of pepper. The market exploded with laughter. Adunni laughed until tears came out. Kunle stood up, covered in pepper. "I'm competing with a goat for love. My life is finished." Festival day arrived. The whole village wore colorful clothes. Drummers played loudly. Dancers performed. Food filled the air with delicious smells. Even neighboring villages attended. The king sat proudly beside chiefs. Minister also arrived, decorated with beads. Children followed him singing, "Chief Goat, Chief Goat." Then came the wrestling competition. Strong men battled in the village square. Kunle joined to impress Adun. Unfortunately, his opponent looked like a moving mountain. The fight lasted only 5 seconds. Kunle flew through the air like thrown yam. The crowd screamed, laughing. Even Adunni covered her face. Embarrassed, Kunle walked away sadly. Meanwhile, the king prepared for his speech. The royal crown was placed carefully beside him. Then, suddenly, Minister saw fresh vegetables near the crown. The goat jumped onto the royal platform. People shouted. Guards rushed. Minister grabbed the vegetables and accidentally dragged the royal crown with him. The crown landed around his neck. Silence. Everybody froze. Minister walked proudly through the crowd, wearing the crown. Children screamed, laughing. One woman fainted dramatically. An old chief shouted, "This is a sign from the ancestors." Another shouted, "No. This goat wants power." Chaos erupted. The goat ran. Villagers chased him. Drummers abandoned drums. Women lifted wrappers. Children climbed fences. Ministers sprinted through the village, proudly wearing the king's crown. It became the greatest embarrassment in village history. Finally, Baba Tunde cornered the goat near the river. He removed the crown carefully. The king was furious, but when he saw the entire village laughing uncontrollably, even he began laughing. That night, people talked about nothing else. A minister became even more famous. Months later, happiness disappeared. Rain stopped falling. The river dried slowly. Farms suffered. Food became scarce. People grew worried. Arguments increased. Some blamed bad luck. Others blamed angry ancestors. One greedy chief suggested raising taxes. The villagers nearly beat him. During this difficult time, Baba Tund fell sick, very sick. He became weak and could barely walk. Minister refused, leaving his side. The once troublesome goat now behaved quietly. Kunle visited Baba Tund often. Adunni also helped bring food. One evening, Baba Tund called Kunle closer. My son, life teaches slowly. Sometimes the people who look foolish carry wisdom others cannot see. Kunle nodded. Baba Tund smiled weakly. Look at that goat. Everybody laughs at him. Yet he exposed a thief when humans failed. Kunle looked thoughtful. Then Baba Tund whispered, your village needs unity now, not pride. That same night, minister disappeared. The village searched everywhere. No goat. Children cried. Even adults worried. 3 days passed. Then suddenly, minister returned, covered in mud and strangely excited. The goat kept pulling people toward the forest. Finally, villagers followed. Deep inside the forest, minister led them to a hidden stream. Fresh water, clean water. The villagers shouted with joy. Women cried. Children danced. The hidden stream saved Ajanaku village. And for the second time, minister became the village hero. The drought changed everyone, especially Kunle. For the first time in his life, he stopped trying shortcuts. He worked seriously. He helped repair farms. He fetched water for old people. He learned carpentry. Slowly, the villagers began respecting him. Even Adunni noticed. One evening near sunset, Kunle sat quietly beside the hidden stream. Adunni joined him. For once, minister was not around. Kunle smiled nervously. I think your bodyguard finally approved me. Adunni laughed. Then, she became serious. You change. Kunle nodded. I was always trying to impress people instead of becoming useful. Adunni smiled softly. That's the wisest thing you've ever said. Kunle almost fainted from happiness. Then suddenly, minister appeared from nowhere. The goat sat between them. Adunni laughed loudly. Kunle groaned. Even romance in this village needs government approval. Months later, rain finally returned. Ajanaku village became lively again. Farms flourished. Children played. Drums returned. Baba Tund recovered slowly. One evening, the entire village gathered under the giant Iroko tree. The king stood before everybody. He cleared his throat proudly. Ajanaku village has learned many lessons this year. Everybody became silent. The king continued. We learned that thieves can wear expensive clothes. The villagers nodded. We learned that pride can enter even goats. Everybody laughed. And we learned that wisdom sometimes comes from unexpected places. The king pointed at minister. The goat was sleeping, snoring loudly. The crowd exploded with laughter. Then the king announced something shocking. In honor of his service to the village, people leaned closer. Minister, the goat, shall never be eaten. The crowd cheered wildly. One hungry man whispered sadly, what a waste of pepper soup. People slapped his head jokingly. Then the king smiled. And Kunle stood nervously. You have proven yourself hardworking and responsible. Therefore, I officially approve your marriage proposal to Adunni. The crowd erupted. Kunle screamed with joy. Adunni blushed. Minister suddenly woke up and started beating loudly. One, villager shouted. Even the goat approves. Music filled the air. People danced all night. And from that day onward, whenever villagers argued too much or acted proudly, old people would simply say, be careful. Even a goat can teach humans wisdom. And immediately, everybody remembered the legendary goat called Minister. The goat that stole food. The goat that exposed the thief. The goat that wore the king's crown. The goat that saved the village. And somehow, the goat that became a chief. Moral lessons. Wisdom can come from unexpected places. Pride destroys both humans and leaders. Hard work earns respect more than empty appearances. Communities survive through unity, not gossip and division. Sometimes, the people or things we laugh at may become our greatest helpers.